and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling. And I am Sam, and I am joined by Baby Sam.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning.
And this is our See the Good in series. It's a series where we are positive wrestling fans.
Oh, yes.
And there has been some bad wrestling.
There's been many bad wrestles.
Bad wrestling.
Many wrestles have been
I
underwhelming.
stopped watching because of how bad this was at this time. And what we do is we want to be as positive as we can as a wrestling channel. We do the worst and we do critiques as much as we can sometimes, but we want to see the good in bad wrestling. Because some people have just disregarded things forever and want to go, there must have been some good nuggets of things. And that's what we're doing. We've done things such as the greatest Royal Rumble, heel Michael Cole as the announcer, Jinder Mahal's WWE Championship reign.
You know Bucky and Marvel where you say a bunch of words and it really sets them off? You're just doing that to me in a row. Stop it.
That's what we're going to look at today. We are going to try and see the good in the Raw Anonymous General Manager. So for those who are unsure what this is, if you were not around at this time or you've forgotten all about it, this was
congratulations.
There used to be a GM, a physical GM, and they got fired, and we'll talk about that a bit more, and they replaced it with a computer. And this computer would make matches.
Well, AI's taken all of our jobs.
It really has. And this computer would make matches via Michael Cole. Michael Cole would come out and he would go, "Excuse me, I've had an email from the anonymous Raw general manager," and I quote, and would quote what has been said by the general manager. And literally, Raw was ran by a laptop for a long time. A long time. And it was, quite frankly, hated because it had zero payoff. Then they paid it off. Then they retconned it because it got brought back in 2014.
Oh, no, yeah, but it was... We knew it was Hornswoggle, but then the anonymous general manager just came back
again.
And they were all like, "Oh, who is it?" And we're like, "Last year, lads.
Yeah.
It's Hornswoggle."
Yeah, that's Vince for you. They'll forget. Vince, we never forget.
Look at us.
Literally, there is YouTube videos galore about how not forgetting. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see the good in what was one of the worst general manager mode ideas in history. But before we try and see the positives in this terrible, terrible idea that made me stop watching along with the guest hosts, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So Sam, I've kind of vaguely got it in a sort of order, some of my notes, but you can chip in whenever you want to things you
Now, I actually had a query, because I don't remember, I think I might have been gone when this actually did peter out. When did it stop?
Right, so I've actually got that information here. Right. So Who anonymously controlled the Raw brand from June 21st, 2010 to July 18th, 2011. So
Sam, hold on, that is the day after Punk at Money in the Bank.
Yes, it is.
Well, he did change things at
He
least.
really did change things. The anonymous general manager controlled the show by sending emails to a laptop, and the emails were usually read on screen by the spokesperson Michael Cole, and it lasted 13 months. That's how long it lasted.
14 months too long.
So, the first good thing I have is they fired Bret Hart. I'm a big fan.
What was your thing against Bret Hart? Poor Bret.
It sucks.
What about his job security?
Bret famously, not a great promo.
Yeah.
So let's put him in a promo role.
Well, they could put him in the rest of it. They made him US champ.
They did that too.
Oh, shocking.
Bret got fired and they had to replace him. I'm already off to a great start. That's great because he was awful. Remember, the Nexus were scary.
They were very scary.
Scary.
Well, no, I'll tell you what. That makes sense as to why the GM was anonymous in the first place.
That is literally why they were anonymous.
Great idea.
They were anonymous because of the fear of the Nexus. They were worried about the Nexus attacking them, and that's a great idea. That puts over the Nexus strong and gives you actually a reason. So from an actual, literally, opening week standpoint, it made so much sense.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this. As much as the reason everyone hates it is because it went nowhere, drifted, and they had no payoff. In that opening couple of weeks, people thought it was actually a really great idea because the idea is it's going to have a payoff.
Yes.
Someone will return 100%. Or debut or end up being a brand new evil villain when they finally come out. It's a genius idea of setting up somebody, and they never had an idea for it.
This is what I put it's a new concept, and that's great because the GM role is so tired. It's worn.
Different.
This was a really new idea. It gets very organic here, Pete. Because
we'll get to that later.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't actually a heel at first.
No, I know.
It wasn't a heel at
first. It becomes one.
But you had Michael Cole read it out. You're gonna become a heel.
It's got to be your voice is Michael Cole. I forgot that was the origin of it.
Yes. So at all.
Kayfabe wise, that makes fantastic
sense.
sense.
As an opening week, great. Yeah. It's actually really, really, really good. And he then hired the Nexus, Which, a bit weird. This person's destroying all your things. Very Retribution, that.
Yeah.
Do you remember Retribution? We're going to come and destroy things. You're hired.
But
I now don't have a reason to do this.
This is the thing, though. Because of the anonymity of the character, you can make their actions very questionable and vague, because you can say, well, you don't know who it is, so it's a big master plan, and that's why they.
But they were acting as a babyface at the time.
No, I'm with you, Sam. I'm just trying to see the good in. But so you can get away with a few things like that.
But it led to more heel heat on Michael Cole.
Yes.
Because at the time, Michael Cole has just finished his match with Jerry Lawler, or building to Jerry Lawler. And he's only just started this heel gimmick on NXT. Because the Nexus have happened. Yeah. So this literally pushed his heel gimmick, got him to speak at the ground, the and I quote got him booed, and it actually gave him heat. So even if the babyface computer is doing stuff, Michael Cole, because he was doing it, got him organic heat. And as much as we hate, and we've seen the good in Michael Cole's heel, this worked really well.
And what it did is, yes, Michael Cole is getting go-away heat from the TV audience, but it
really
actually gives him an opportunity to get heat with the live crowd.
With the live crowd,
because the live crowd wouldn't know who's there.
Exactly. So he was getting go away going, you're destroying my ears. But at least as a character standpoint, this really worked.
100% worked. Yeah. And I thought it was a genuinely annoying heel. And if there's ever been a relatable modern heel, you know how Vince was the old school, well, I'm your annoying boss. This takes it to it modernises it, because this is an annoying boss that you can only communicate to through passive-aggressive emails. Genius, though!
I can only speak to HR.
There's never been a more relatable heel character in wrestling.
You can't do anything.
You can't, because you can't actually get your hands on them, so obviously you've got to have the payoff, and they don't get it.
That's the problem.
But that's genius, because that's something that many, many people watching the show after they get home from work on a Monday can relate to.
Yeah, they can.
So it actually makes sense to make it. Then it's HR, Michael Cole coming, well, the boss says this, but you can't have a go at me. I'm the middleman.
That's the thing is, and I quote, got who's, and he's like, but you can't have a go at me, I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
And at first, there were some really fun things, because they kept doing red herrings. Like, they would say, and that's the bottom line. And you're like, that's a Stone Cold line. And then,
imagine if that was Austin.
Yeah. And they go, just when you think you've got the answers, I change the question. You go, maybe it's Piper. And it was a really good idea at first. And they were throwing out these little red herrings and snippets and stuff like that. And that was really fun. At first, they were having interesting fun with it. But like anything Vince does, he forgets about it and just can't, or doesn't have anything creative.
No.
So there's a few great moments in the early stages of it. First of all, Jericho's sit-in. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
So after being screwed out of a title shot because the anonymous GM was actually a babyface, he sat in the ring and vowed to hunt him down. Oh my God, it's Tony Khan.
He was scared for his life.
I knew it! And then you've got cheating Edge all the time. He seemed to have a vendetta against Edge, who was the heel. And every time Edge would try and cheat and stuff like that, he would come out and go, nope, restart the match.
Because the GM can just watch the show from home and go, cheated, mate. This is wrestling VAR.
VAR, it was!
VAR.
But the fact is, he was actually stopping cheating, and it was live, and people were getting really annoyed. And Edge had a breakdown, had a nervous breakdown, and smashed up the laptop.
I loved it.
And do you remember what happened after the week after?
What did?
He traded him to SmackDown.
Did he?
Yeah, that's how he got traded to SmackDown.
That's awesome. Because he's actually beating up the general manager.
Could you reckon the guy at home? Imagine it was someone at home going, no.
That's fine.
Wait, I'm fine.
But emotionally, you're not. Imagine you're the GM for a moment, Edge is beating up. I thought I was doing a good job.
Went into trauma therapy. And the trauma therapist goes, so you got beat up? Yeah, I did. How did it hurt? The paddle button. I can't control Alt Delete anymore.
You blocked my email. Oh, that's funny.
It just says return to sender now. Email not in use.
and the therapy guy says, it's okay, get it out. Oh.
What was his email address?
I think that's what
anonymous
GM. He's anonymous, so of course, that's
anonymous GM at Outlook. Gmail. Anonymous Gmail.
What's his LinkedIn? Just not have a profile picture.
No, it's the vacant. It's the vacant world champion.
Vacant was general manager.
Abeyance. So they also had a few others. There's Austin pouring the beer on it and then ran it over with its ATV.
Yeah.
Really good fun. And then, so after a while, obviously, because the person is a spokesperson via Michael Cole, the computer itself then started to get heel heat. For many reasons. Reason number one, it's Michael Cole.
But also the
And reason
noise.
number 2, it became annoying. This boo-doo-boo-doo, people started getting annoyed by it. It made the lights go flashing, and you kept interrupting. It felt like it was disturbing the show.
Yeah.
So after a while, it
Must be,
became
yeah.
a heel. And to be fair, they did lean in. It became almost like a puppet master. And I did kind of like that aspect of it. So it did start to mess about with the babyface and try and get them to argue and stuff, and they couldn't argue with it because it didn't exist. So at least they kind of, leaned into the fact that it became a heel, and then they just gave up.
Yeah, it's literally that's what it is.
And that was the thing, it just stopped happening because Triple H and John Laurinaitis became more things, because they had already started to be on TV by that point, and you're absolutely right, when the Money in the Bank pay-per-view came, it just...
Then we decided, we're actually doing a serious storyline now. Right, let's scrap this thing, and it didn't matter, and ultimately no one cared.
And that's the thing,
Because
it's almost like, do you know what? I can't even remember noticing.
No.
Because I came back to wrestling.
But also, people forget, that's also, weirdly enough, when the Nexus ended.
Yes.
Because Punk still had his Nexus armband, but I think Orton basically injured all of them. And then he dropped the Nexus thing, and the Nexus was... So, actually, even the Nexus birthed the Anonymous GM, and they died at the same time as the Punk, which is lovely.
Yeah.
I think this should all have been... The obvious way to go to me is that it was Michael Cole all along.
Damn you! Shut up!
Sorry, were you thinking that?
I was going to ask you a question. Who did you think it
Sorry,
should have
Sam.
been? And I was going to say Michael Cole.
Sorry.
We'll get to that later,
sorry.
you prick. We were meant to see the good in it, not speculate.
Cut it out at the end then.
No, I'm leaving it in. One of the other good things about it as a pre-thing is we had just had the guest host era, which is
this is one of mine.
This is the reason I stopped watching.
Yeah.
And I know the guest host era had ended because Bret Hart had become GM at that point anyway, but I genuinely couldn't watch. I found Raw genuinely unwatchable. When people go, the Ruthless Aggression era had so many deplorable things, and then the New Gen was so bad with all the terrible gimmicks, everyone turned off in droves. This genuinely put off so many wrestling fans, and at the very least, this was better than guest hosts.
Oh, absolutely, because you've got a consistent narrative thread that's actually, it creates a bit of mystery and intrigue, and it's a great narrative device. The guest GMs was like, you're literally just turning Raw into an advert for Hugh Jackman's show every week, or someone else's show. Raw is now an advert for someone else's thing.
And not for WWE. Yeah,
that's just the worst possible thing you could actually... If you wanted to ruin Raw... That's it.
It did. It sucked. I hated this such with a passion.
Yeah. So this is good. And I was on mine. It finally did get rid of the guest GMs. And again, you've got a bit of unpredictability, and the GM can be flexible because you don't know who they are yet. But I think other than that, it's more, it got Michael Cole heat.
And that's
to
the main
me,
thing.
this would have been perfect if it was Michael Cole sending, because it's such a Michael Cole thing, he sends emails to himself.
Hiding in plain sight.
He doesn't have the spine to do it himself, so he sends the email and says, I've got an email from the Raw GM. And then he
you could have took him off the commentary desk, and he could have done that for a bit. I think the idea of someone hiding in plain sight is really clever, but that's too clever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's way too clever. And as much as it probably is too obvious, it's so obvious, it's the correct decision.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't actually think it is him. Because if we took Michael Cole away, who could it be? Do you introduce a brand new character via it, which wouldn't have the same intro? Or do you have a returning
is that
face?
how you introduce Sandow?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe,
you have to introduce a brand new character, but you have to massively get them over very quickly, like think of Nick Aldis did. Or you have to bring back a returning legend who is now going to be a vicious, horrible authority figure.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have worked. Obviously, they then brought back old GMs for a couple of episodes of Raw for a bit, and they brought back the Anonymous GM, which led to Santino Marella hunting down, which was really, really funny.
Of course, it's Santino, of course.
Until the end when they pulled out Hornswoggle.
You know
and
what?
Everyone actively groaned.
I almost respect them for doing it, though.
Yeah.
Like, the angle was that dead. You know what? As a little, nod to how bad it is, we're going to make it be Hornswoggle.
The funny thing is, Hornswoggle was in the frame for this all along.
No, it wasn't Sam.
So, let me tell you.
It's like the Jar Jar Binks conspiracy theory being said it was Jar Jar.
Genuinely, I'll tell you this.
No,
Hornswoggle was suggested by a writer during a creative team meeting.
Who said that?
As a joke.
Oh, right.
Which played off the poor reception to an early story, with obviously Hornswoggle being
Never do that joke in front of Vince. He will do it.
And the idea was that Hornswoggle, the original plan for him to be a general manager character, he actually was going to be the character, and he was going to be a mob boss style character with a Napoleon complex, throwing his power around.
So I love that. That's quality.
That's what the idea was, and then obviously they just didn't do it because they just abandoned the gimmick really fast. I have to admit, the Michael Cole is who I would have picked. Is there anyone else you could pick? Let's say a returning legend who could have become the GM. Because I have one.
Go on.
Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this tech that you're doing through, and it's literally happened at Money in the Bank and he attacked him, make it Kevin Nash.
That's perfect, Sam.
Make it Kevin Nash.
If you're going
to carry on in a very similar narrative, make it Kevin Nash, because you know he could have done it and he would have been a really good authority figure. You could have Kevin Nash on telly without having to fight, knowing that if he needed to fight, he could have done, and then he wouldn't have had to do the whole rubbish with the Triple H. You could have just had Kevin Nash, and then he attacked Punk because he wouldn't want Punk as his champion, rather than Triple H text me. Wouldn't it be better if he attacks it because no, I'm GM. Why would I want you? I want to sell you. You're not tall. I'd want this guy, and then you could pick Del Rio. The money. You know what I mean? And Kevin Nash could go on the whole midget babyface joke that he did for Vanilla Midget, all that joke that he did for years, which is disgusting, but whatever. And he could have done that, and it would have really worked. Because you've gone, I want it to be Cena. Look at him. Look at this guy, and that could have confused Cena, and then you could have slowly turned Cena heel because he didn't need it because you got Punk babyface. But that's why I go. So what do you reckon?
Oh, if you put me on the spot, I'm trying to think of annoying heels.
Piper?
Could it be? Piper's all right, but I think it's one of those. Did they trust Piper to come on TV? That's the thing. Would that have actually happened? Oh, I mean, part of me goes, could Edge have been that and done it himself, and maybe that?
But would you want him to be the manager? Then again, he retires
that's what I mean.
2 years later.
He's going to retire. I don't know. That's just me spitball. I haven't thought this far. Ricardo Rodriguez, if you want it to be Del Rio's thing, I don't know.
It's too new.
I know.
I haven't even been there.
You put me on the spot, Sam, and I've got no good answers because, frankly, it's a bad angle.
I think Kevin Nash and Michael Cole are the two best options. So, Sam, now that we've actually had a look at the anonymous JM, what do you think?
Oh, there's redeeming qualities.
There really
is. The problem is never the idea; it's the execution.
That's literally the problem.
That's always been the problem, and it does also have a shelf life.
Oh, a year is probably too long, but if you actually had a payoff, a year is
if you're progressing,
it's just the limit.
But the problem is, if you're doing a gig, you need to progress the story of it every week. You need to create more intrigue and put out new narrative things. And that's something they were never capable of doing back then. They'd do it great now.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they'd probably do a really good job and know exactly who it was going to be. But yeah, it still sucked. But I think we were so used to suckiness that at least for a few months we got an interesting little angle. It's like, oh, a narrative plot device. What could this be? And then they ruined it, like they ruined everything back then.
I think we have seen the good in the anonymous GM. Well, I really think we're good, and I think we should be proud of us. And that's what we do in this series, take something that's really bad and find some good in it. And find even the little nuggets. It's going to be bad when it's all bad. We're going to get... when we have to do Kane and Snitsky, it's going to be hard work.
Well, you say we have to do this. You choose these something. You make me have to come up with nice things.
Some people have requested it.
Who did... I want names. Who requested Kane and Snitsky?
Yeah, Twitter's a fun thing. Thank you very much for joining us. What would you like us to see the good in? What sort of horrible storylines would you like us to try and see the good in that aren't going to get us in trouble with YouTube? Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time and try and see the good in some bad wrestling. Bye-bye.
Bye.